Hello and welcome to Clay to Canopy, the show where I attempt to make just about everything from the ground up. In this video, I'm going to be taking on the glass components for the Woodland Feast. So come on, let's do this. Before I can get going on making the glass parts, I need to make some molds, some rigging to put the glass up against. Now when I initially made this bottom egg part, I used this giant egg as a mold. Now that it has gone through the kiln firing, it has shrunk. I am hoping that I can take this top part, blow some of that great stuff foam into the top of it, and create a foam mold that will sit on top of here as the structure that I will be doing the stained glass technique over. In the case of this, after looking at it, now this is like the first time I pulled stuff out today since 2 years ago when I started this in the first place, and I think that I will be able to take some measurements off of this train. I don't even know where the train is around here because I haven't seen the train tracks. Anyway. I can get a styrofoam ball from the craft store that I can use as a mold for this, and it'll be just fine. I keep calling it stained glass. Basically the stained glass technique, but I primarily only use clear glass. As far as the log goes, I am going to have a board running through it, so a wooden piece. What I will have on that is little tiny domes. I am not sure if the little tiny domes are going to be pre-made or if I am going to make them using the stained glass technique, and here's why. I have always worked myself into a kind of a tight spot where I take on too much and I have these grand ideas about what I'm going to do, and then I underestimate the amount of time I actually need to do it, and I end up working myself into a hole and trying to get things done or cut corners here and there. If I had all the time in the world and it didn't matter trying to keep a time frame so that I can keep in content flowing, I would probably make the glass domes. However, I do have some pre-made little glass domes that would work for this in the event that I run out of time or I'm running over my time. I want to think a little bit more cautiously about staying within my time allotted budget so I don't end up working myself to the bone and ending up getting sick from it. So right now what I'm going to do is put all of this stuff away so that I don't damage anything, and I am going to make a go at blowing some of the foam into this egg. So I'm worried about sticking, so I'm gonna go ahead and tape some plastic in here. That way I can just pull the plastic out. I'm just using the bottom for a little bit of support. I have never done this before. However, many of my ceramic friends who ship art around all over recommend coating the piece in plastic or trash bag and then blowing this great stuff foam into the box around it, and what it's supposed to do is give you a tight fit around the object that you're trying to ship. Okay, yeah, so y'all should know I just got my third booster shot and a flu shot all at once, so I might be a little spacey. I totally just cut that little ridiculous piece that's gonna do nothing for me. Okay. As always, this could be one great big disaster. I have no idea. I'm gonna put some gloves on. Better safe than sorry. Firmly screw straw onto valve system. Ensure straw is fully sealed on the valve stem to prevent leakage. Sometimes the things I do. As far as I know, these cans are non-reusable. Once you start one going, that's pretty much it. You just gotta use it all. Tack free in 15 minutes, cures in 8 hours. Okay, well, hopefully it doesn't expand anymore because it will make one giant freaking mess. I probably should throw on drop cloth and leave it here overnight. Yeah, well, apparently this thing exploded, totally expanded, craziness. I'm gonna try and get it out. It should come out, hopefully. Chelsea. Wow. No, it's still wet. Oh, okay. So much for 8-hour cure. Alrighty then. I'm gonna leave that. I might have to do this in layers, which is not necessarily gonna work because you have one shot with that can. I'm gonna stick this outside and hope that it sets up. It has been over 8 hours because we did this yesterday and it's a new day here. And yeah, so I have no idea. We're gonna stick it outside. I did find this cylinder type of shape at the craft store ready to go for this. This should work perfectly for my mold for the glass part of this piece. All right, y'all, this was a total disaster. It never fully cured. It's been like 4 days, three or 4 days, and it's goopy on the bottom. And a lot of the things I was reading basically said that whenever they did large mass, they would go in and poke holes because in the inside parts, it would not fully cure. So I think this was my bad. I just was worried that if I couldn't get the entire thing pumped out of the can, that I would not be able to get the can restarted. The cans do say restartable for up to 4 weeks, but that restart is not guaranteed. It's lost its shape, so I'm dumping this. I went ahead and purchased the more expensive one. The one I was using was the 1-inch gap stuff. This was like much cheaper. It's about $3 and change. This stuff, which is the 3-inch stuff, is around $6. I was trying to be cheap and get the cheaper stuff to do this job. I am gonna make a go at only filling about a third, try and get it to set for about 15 to a half an hour, and then try and put another layer on top of that. It has been some days, and I mean like probably at least over a week, and here are the disastrous results of what I got going on. I literally only pumped out about not even a half of these cans, and the cans are now spent. They're just duds. You can't do anything with them because they're clogged, which is kind of sucky. I am not getting the refinement that I was hoping for, and it's still kind of tacky and sticky. These were like the other results. This one never domed out to a peak. This thing, I threw it in this box and it exploded and it is now stuck to the bottom of the box. This is checked off in the fail department, and this happens. This is the artist's way. And a lot of times you don't actually see this part of the process. We're used to failing at least 90% of the time before we hit something that actually works. And it's all just part of the process. There's always some kind of solution. I am going to find a solution for this. So this is like the 4th or 5th fail. My next move, I'm going to take this egg top and I am going to do about 2 to 3 layers of some paper mache, because here's what I think the issue is. Aside from the fact that I've had a lot of 40-degree days, this stuff is not fully curing, I think, because this is plastic. And I do not want to go in and start drilling holes into this egg. My plan is to use the inside of this to make a paper mache thin layered shell, then pop the paper out and spray the very last can of spray foam I have into the paper layer and hope for the best. The reason why I'm trying to get to this foam is when you're on a 3-dimensional form, you really need to have something where you can rest the glass piece on it. And I use these stainless steel thumbtacks that I poke into the foam to like hold it in place. So I need some kind of foam structure on the inside. Over here dealing with foam, and now this is turned into a paper mache project, and you're like, I thought the title of this video was, you know, glass parts. Yep, just how we do here. Sometimes you gotta take the long way around. I have taken the paper piece out before I try and pump this one in with foam. I'm gonna mark out where the zigzag's gonna go and cut that out first. After 45 minutes of futzing with this paper part, I've realized that it is still going to be too large for what I need. So no matter how many times I keep casting this in here, even if I pumped it with foam, it's still going to be too big for what I need. When the glass goes on, it's going to add 1/8 of an inch of thickness all around it. I'm going to now do what I should have done from the jump, which is to carve this thing out of foam. I have some floral foam. I'm going to glue up all this floral foam into a block, and then I I am going to carve the egg top, and that's going to be that. Doing it with the spray foam, that's a crash and burn. We move on, we try and find another alternate way to get this going, and that's what I'm going to do. I probably should have just given up on the spray foam thing a long time ago, but I like to waste time around here. So anyway, I'm gonna carve this. And I love this thing. It is a power carver that is sold for carving pumpkins, and it is usually 10 bucks, full price at Michael's at Halloween time, but then you can use a coupon. So I paid $5 for this, and this year I picked up a second one. I probably should get myself some guidelines on here. Totally had to step away from staring at this thing. I couldn't do it. I was like over looking at the egg after all of that mess. Just set it aside. Now I will be back to it. Much for cutting the jagged edge right, because it's totally wrong now. Alright, what else? We're gonna start the glass, because this is supposed to be a freaking glass video and not a play with foam video for days on end. So, yeah. Finally, the glass. Alright, the first thing I need to do is cut up a bunch of glass bits into just random shapes, because this egg is going to be cracked glass look. This is a totally fun part for me. I'm just going to do this right here on my wood. All I'm going to do is just take these bits of other glass and just cut random shapes and pop. This is a great way to use up scrap bits if you have oddball shapes of things. I got my production line going. I'm going to be testing glass on the form, testing sizes, cleaning up the edges with the glass grinder, edging the entire piece of glass with the copper tape, getting it onto the form, and tacking it in place with my soldering iron. I will not be doing the full seam lines just yet. I usually like to get midway down before I do that. At some point I am going to put on a respirator. I'm working in a garage, and behind the camera, is a completely open wall. So I am well ventilated. For the tacking part, it's not so much an issue because it's a very minimal amount of vapor coming off. But when I start running the big beads of solder, I will definitely need to be putting a respirator on. Okay, so I'm just gonna throw on some headphones, probably put on an audiobook, and get to work. getting pretty close to the fit line. I have my ceramic piece out and I'm continually trying to go back and forth and match it. This is gonna be a little bit finicky, but I need to get a move on and get this done today. There's a bit of construction going on next door. I'm just gonna keep my head down, plow through, get this fitted, and hopefully I will be able to do this in enough time today that I can move on to putting together the glass for the salad bowl, which is the beaver rock dam thingy. Beaver, otter, kind of both, I guess. Hybrid otter beaver in my head of who made that part. Anyhow, all I'm doing is taking pieces that come close to this edge, and if I have to make a custom cut, I will. And for the most part, that's kind of how it's going. I'm adding a bit of a rim. I went to get some copper wire. This stuff is actually found in the electrical department. Had to drive to Lowe's. They did not have it in stock at Home Depot. And it is solid copper that I'm cutting bits of. It's supposed to be soft and bendable. I'm sure if I added some heat to it, it would be easier to bend. But since this is glass, I really don't want to risk trying to wind this up all around there. So I'm just cutting small pieces of it. These small little bits, sanding it up, tinning it, and tinning it is a process where you go in, add a little bit of the solder to the piece beforehand and basically turning this entire thing silver, and then going ahead and soldering it to the edge. It is far from a perfect fit, but it is what it is. A month is far too long for me to be spending on just one part of this entire environment. So I'm leaving it the way it is. It's got to get washed up so that I can get a patina on it, and I'm going to move on to the glass, which should hopefully, my gosh, I am a mess. Probably have mask lines from the respirator. Anyhow, I gotta move on to doing the glass cylinder for the other piece, the rock with the branches on top. What is going on? Yeah, and I'm gonna go fix my hair, maybe. And this is gonna get washed up several times because I gotta get all of the flux off of it, and it usually takes a few washings to get the flux and any of the bits of excess solder that get stuck to it. Band practice is about to start up any minute. I'm moving on to... What am I listening to? I'm really happy to be done with that egg, and I really don't want to look at it at the moment. Any of y'all makers out there, you probably know what I'm talking about. You get to that point in a project where you're just like, I just can't anymore. I can't look at it. And I'm looking at this piece. I don't think I need the glass to be as high as this styrofoam, but this will be just a very straightforward, hopefully straightforward cylinder where I'm just going to go around this foam that's existing, and it'll just be one piece. I'm gonna cut some rectangular glass that's gonna go around this thing, and I'm probably not gonna be able to talk much because, as I said, band practice is about to start. I'm happy with that. All right. So I have this piece of wood that is going to be sitting inside of the log. It'll hold the little mini desserts. These I found on clearance. They are glass and I only have 3. I need to be insanely careful. This piece of madrone is an exotic piece of wood that I had some scraps of. We'll finish up to a reddish color, which will be nice with the copper patina. I'm going to drill some small recesses into this wood. Little glass domes will have somewhere to seat when this slides in and out. And I'm going to oil the board after I cut it down to size. As this is meant to be food safe item, I am going to treat this with food safe products and get an oil on it. I ordered this set. I found this company that does these butcher block oils. I ordered basically the entire kit. I get the impression that this is for cleaning existing cutting boards. So I don't want to go in with some soap yet since I have not put any kind of finish on this board. It has been sanded up to 220 and ready for a finish. Generally speaking, you don't use washing soaps on wood that you're going to treat. It'll raise the grain. So I'm going to skip the soaping step, which is this one, and the scrub brush, and we're going to jump right into applying the oil and the wax. I bought this because I wanted the citrus smell. Sometimes you can order the butcher block oil and it doesn't smell that pleasant. That was my main reason for going with this stuff. Since this is the first round, I'm going to soak the crap out of this. Let the oil really set in. I will apply several coats before we get to any kind of waxing. So I caved and I bought a fresh bottle of patina, hoping that I can get a really bright copper out of this. It says it's supposed to do that. And then I'm going to be finishing it with some wax because it's the only way to keep it from oxidizing. So this is my favorite brand of paste wax. It smells really, really good. There are some out there that smell really awful. But I'm going to use this to buff up I'm going to use it to protect the copper so that I don't get any oxidation happening. I really want to keep this copper nice and bright. I don't want the old penny look. Alright y'all, patinas are on. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I got them waxed up. The very last thing I have yet to do is to wax up this board. The oil needs some time to set and really soak in, and I'm probably going to give it maybe another 2 or 3 coats of oil as time progresses. Let's see, what is today? Today's the middle of February. I have till the end of March as a deadline, as what I set for myself to complete this entire environment. So I'm going to kind of keep this piece of wood just out. The rest of this stuff needs to definitely get safely packed away because all of it's extremely fragile. I'll keep this piece of wood out and periodically I'll give it a little bit more oil and then finish it off with some wax. But as far as this video goes, I'm gonna call it here. I hope you enjoyed watching the glass parts come together. Please like, share, and subscribe if you have not done so already, and please stick around to watch how this Woodland Feast all comes together.